process again. But I'm not terribly optimistic of its chances of getting through the House. I think most of you know that we have to continue to lobby Hoogendyke, the chairman of the committee that has the bill, to at least give it a chance, give it a hearing, and allow for an up or down vote, at least within the committee. But I want you to know I am a strong supporter of the legislation and doing what I can behind the scenes to get this legislation passed. The other thing that Bill talked about was the constitutional amendment, House Resolution NN, which is very, very basic. In fact, you have a copy of it there, don't you, Phil? Did I see it? I thought I... Yeah, I want to read to you just a brief portion of this. And really, it's only a two-page resolution. Parents and legal guardians have a natural and fundamental right to direct the care, education, and upbringing of their children. No government action shall burden, abridge, or hinder this natural, fundamental right unless it is in the furtherance of a compelling governmental interest and is the least restrictive means of furthering that compelling governmental interest. Now, the wording from this is very similar to what is already in the State of Michigan Public School Code, which says that it is the natural fundamental rights of parents to direct care and education of their children. We do battle often with the public school lobby and the status quo leaders of public education in this state, who sometimes forget that it's the parents who are responsible for the education of children, not the government. And it's written right in our school code, so we just have to remind them of what that says. Now, I am a co-sponsor of this legislation. It has, I think, upwards of 80 sponsors. It's a veto-proof majority. There's enough sponsors here that even if the governor were to veto it, we could override that veto. The problem is I think all of you know, that the Speaker of the House and the Chairman of the committee that has this don't want to move the legislation. I think that there's one thing that we may consider doing, and it's called a discharge motion. What a discharge motion does is it's a motion done on the floor of the House in an up or down vote to take that bill, or in this case the resolution, out of committee and move it directly to the floor for a vote. Obviously, we have the votes to get that done, but it's a procedural issue, and because the Democrats are in majority and have control of the House of Representatives, if a Republican introduces the discharge motion, it may not get an opportunity to be voted on in and of itself. But I just want all of you to know that this is a strategy that we may consider. There's one more thing that I want to mention to you before I step away from the microphone. Something that's very important for all of you to know. It's something called the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. This is something that has worked through the UN. Most nations in this world have already adopted it. Bill Clinton, when he was president, signed it, but it was not ratified by the United States Senate. Hillary Clinton has already given her support to this. I can pretty much guarantee you that if either Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama were to be elected president, the UN conference or convention on the rights of the child would be enacted, adopted, and become the law of the land. And it would directly oppose this resolution. And if this even became law in Michigan, if this was adopted into the Michigan Constitution, it would in essence be nullified by the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. But what's being done, what's being worked on at the federal level is an amendment to the United States Constitution that is very similar to House Resolution, Joint Resolution NN. So I would encourage all of you to be cognizant of what's being done at the federal level. And if you just go online and go to Google and type in UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, you can read all about it. You can read the language of the resolution and see how insidious it would be, because basically what it does is it says the child has primary rights for himself, which supersede the rights of the parents. It's very bad, I think, for family structure. But if you look it up, you can read the language, and you can also read the amendment to the United States Constitution that is being worked on. and that I hope will be proposed very soon. With that, I just want to say thank you very much, for all that you're doing. Please keep the pressure on as your coalition grows. It will be more and more difficult for politicians in Lansing to ignore you, and we'll have to start listening. Phil was kind enough to mention I'm running for the United States Senate. I will have some petitions in the back if you'd like to sign. That would be great. Thanks very much.